now at the point I'm not really saying what I'm doing, only because I'm starting to work it now. I'm going back into different colors, I'm building it up, I'm working some colors, I'm mixing, like, you know, a couple drops of this color, that color, so I just kind of start creating like different shades, grades, blending. Bringing out different parts of the sculpt a little bit more under the nose, the little parts around the lips, the mouth, under the crevice behind the nose. Just running with it. Okay, so as we can see, hopefully in the camera it's showing, but we got a lot of gradations. We really brought out the sculpt a little bit. Underneath the neck is really dark, only because it's just the way I'm going to have to do it because of with the hair and everything. Just no way about that. And plus, since she's kind of, when she's up, you're kind of not seeing it much anyway, so we're just working out the sculpt. So at this point, I take it into the garage, and I'm going to use a Tester's Dull Coat out of the rattle can. So I like to kind of give it a little bit of a coating. I always mark it dull, and just kind of get a nice coating over it. Let it sit for a little bit, because it's still kind of like, in a sense, even though it looks dry and it feels dry, it's still kind of wet. And I like to let it just kind of dry up and kind of come together, and then I can see if I need to go back into it and stuff. So I'm going to go in the garage, I'm going to seal it up, let it sit for a little bit, we'll come back and we'll see if we need to do anything else. Alright, so I got it to where I like it, I'm happy with it, it's got some nice blending and shadow. So next I'm going to use Transparent Lavender from Garage Kits, and I'm going to do just a little bit of the eyeshadow, not much, just a little bit, because I'm going to go back in with women's makeup and stuff, but I just kind of want to get like that base purple there. It kind of helps just in case, like, you know, you're putting up the, whether it's pastels or the women's makeup, if you're kind of rubbing the paint a little bit and you start pulling it off, you might start seeing like brightness. So if you get kind of like that purplish in there, it kind of helps. But it's just got to go in light. I'm going to kind of move the camera over just to, it's kind of hard to do it with this in the way, but you got to kind of set her up. Alright, so I'm going to add some blush. Now, I'm not too worried about the little mishap over here because I'm going to be blending all this. But that's just pretty much to get that base coat going. So we're going to put some blush on her. Normally, I would airbrush it, but I kind of like the way this looks. Of course, this has to be sealed. It's a little bit up there. Okay, so I'm gonna go and seal this, and then I come back and start doing the eyeshadows. Alright, so I got the makeup all ready. I took the silly putty out just to kind of look what it was looking like. Plus, the silly putty was all mushy anyway because it was reacting to the dull coat. So usually whenever I spray dull coat, I usually let the thing sit for a while before I mess with the silly putty because it melts. And you can actually ruin your paint up if you don't pull it off correctly and you smush it and it just kind of gets all messy. Usually you gotta let the silly putty dry. But, so what I'm gonna do now is start working out the makeup with going over the eyeshadows and everything, and after that I'll seal it up. Okay guys, so this is where we're at. Pulled off all the silly putty and pretty much looked her over, saw if I needed to fix anything, and I kind of brought out the neck under here a little bit. It was too dark back over here, so what I did is I brought that a little bit off the camera just to kind of pull it together. I always like to make sure, you know, skin tones are really working well before I actually go any further, because skin tones is the hardest to do, it's the hardest to fix. It's just always easier to do it first to make sure you seal it up correctly and go from there. The next step I'm going to do is probably the pink in the eyelids on the bottom, because right now it's got some of that pearl and orange stuff. I got to take that out. And then what I think I'm going to do is kind of gloss the skin up a little bit with the Future 4 polish, only to kind of protect it and to give it a little bit of a sheen, but then I'm going to flatten it down. But it's not going to be very heavy. It's a very light, quick coat. Really, you know, just to kind of protect the paint a little bit. You know, we got a nice sinister look with her. You know, I didn't go super fair skin. I didn't go, you know, like pale. I got kind of that orangey, like, you know, pissed off phoenix, like, you know, tanness to her. That's what I wanted to go for. We got a lot of variants of colors around her. Hopefully the camera's picking it all up. The eyes got that glow. Real cool if we turn off the lights with that pearl. I'll show you, hopefully the camera will pick it up. You get kind of like a glow with the eyes. So with the computer screen on the back of us hitting on the eyes, hopefully you guys can see it. It's kind of getting like a glow. So like, you know, if it's on a shelf or in a dark area in the room without any lights, you're still picking up something of the eyes, which is kind of cool. So, that is Phoenix. So I got to figure out what I'm going to do with the lips. The lips are kind of like when I'm, you know, usually I do watercolor on lips, but then since these are so big, I could probably do it with an airbrush if I mask it off correctly. I might do a line around the lips first and then mask it off and then hit it with the airbrush. I'm not quite sure yet. I never really worked in this scale with the lips, so I'm kind of maybe do some tests. But anyway, I'm going to let this paint dry for a while too. I'm not going to do any clear coat or anything else to it yet, just to kind of let this sit for a day or so. I really like to make sure skin tones really come together and dry and work out. So that's where we're at. You know, we'll be back with some more updates once we start, you know, finishing up the face. And then once the face is all finished up, and then we go on to the outfit. once the outfit is done, we just work on the hair. But what I'll do is, of course, I'll do some line work before the outfit of dark, you know, some kind of red going around in here, just to get that out of the way so it's easier to do without handling everything. Then I'll do the outfit. Then I'll do the line work again around the hair. Then I can mask off everything and then finish up the hair. So that's pretty much where I'm at. And we'll just see as I work on if I come up with any other ideas or if I add a couple things here and there, like with paints and techniques and stuff. So we'll see what happens. So thanks for watching, and we'll be back with some more updates. Okay guys, so the next step is I'm going to be doing eyelashes, and it's going to be very hard to film it, so I can't really have it up close and do the detail work and film at the same time. So I'll just come back after it's done. But I'll be using Model Air Black mixed with a little bit of water just to thin it a little bit. I like this stuff because it doesn't bleed as much as some of my other black paints I do, because if I try to do some black lines and stuff and then all of a sudden I get bleeding, it just becomes a mess. So that's kind of thick, and it's a perfect thing. I also did a video a while back on how I take 00 paintbrushes that are fairly cheap, like, you know, $2, $3, and then what I do is I use an X-Acto knife and cut them to get a finer tip. So I'm going to be using this, you can check out that video too. But I'll come back after I do that, because the goal now is I'm going to do the eyelashes, try to follow the original prototype paint up for the Emma, kind of mimic it a bit. Then I'll probably do the eyebrows and then the lips, and then once all the face features are done, we move on to the outfit, hair, and symbol and all that. But it's kind of hard to get in these with the details in the camera, so it's going to be like, you know, explain a little bit, show a little bit here and there, and then kind of finish it up. Alright, so I got the eyelashes in there, and she's really looking dark and sinister now with that. So the next step is I'm going to do the eyebrows in watercolor, but not actually all, just to kind of get the basic shape of the eyebrows with watercolor. And I'm also going to do around the outside of the lips with watercolor. So I want to do the lips in airbrush, but for the eyebrows I got to paint it. So I want to get my basic shape there, because if you use acrylics right off the bat too thick, you know, you mess up, you screw it up. At least with the watercolor I can wash it off and kind of just start blending it in and get it to where I need to go, and then I could go on thicker once I do the hair and the eyebrows to get them, you know, matching up. So you know, we'll just start working on those. Alright, so I did watercolor eyebrows just to get a basic idea, so this way once I start doing the hair and stuff I can match up the eyebrows. So what I did here is I just basically did a watercolor wash of the lips just to kind of get the idea where I'm going to put them. So what I'm going to do is blow dry it and start masking this off with silly putty so I can airbrush it, because I want to airbrush it more than watercolor because it's so big. Even though I could watercolor and then try to seal it, I think with the airbrush, getting the basic shape and everything would be pretty good. So I'm going to start masking this off now, and then we'll start painting that up. Alright, so basically we did the lips, did some metallic red paint in there, and then I glossed it up to give it that bright lipstick, so now we got that really, you know, sinister, sexy look going for her. It's looking pretty good. Eyebrows are not done, but I want to do the hair first and then match the eyebrows whatever colors I use for the hair. So the next step is I'm going to do probably a trim around the hair here, and then we mask off the head and we start the body. And hair will be last though, but I like to do all the trimming and everything first while I can. So that's where we're at, and we'll be back with some more updates.